I don't know about all of you, but I am not a big fan of reading. Occasionally, if I'm feeling particularly bored, I'll read some fiction. But unless it's required reading, I'd rather be outside than staring at a book. And even then, I sometimes don't. Sorry, Miss Ham. Unfortunately, my father doesn't quite understand this. So he decided to give me a big stack of books for Christmas. Somewhere around New Year's, he asked which book I decided to read first. I, of course, had not started any of them, so I hastily came up with the only book I could remember, the one with the smiley face on the cover. It turns out that book was called The Happiness Advantage. I knew my dad would begin grilling me with questions about the book, so I bit the bullet and I decided to read it. After finishing, I knew I wanted to share all that I had learned, but I could have never anticipated how important those lessons would be to us today. I thought I would be saying, "Good morning, students, friends, and class of 2020." But due to the novel coronavirus, I find myself saying good morning, faculty, and dad, who will be asking for this video later today. Like many seniors, I struggled to choose a topic for my speech. When I solicited advice from my friends, they respond by saying, "Do it on Canada." At first, I contemplated this topic, but I wanted to give a speech that everyone would be able to relate to and hopefully take something away from. I didn't realize it at the time, but ironically enough, COVID-19 has given this speech on happiness a whole new significance. If you were asked to define happiness, you would probably respond with, I don't know, it's when you're happy. Or you would ask Siri. But the truth is that not one of us can create a singular definition, because according to the book with the smiley face on it, there is no single meaning. Happiness is relative to the person experiencing it. Everyone has a different definition, but the important part of happiness is finding and understanding the importance of it in our lives. Happiness brings so many advantages into our lives. It reduces stress, can make us healthier, creates better relationships, and can even make us smarter. So what causes us to perform better when we're happy? Well, according to Harvard graduate and co-founder of the Institute for Applied Positive Research, Sean Aker, says, quote, "Positive emotions flood our brain with dopamine and serotonin, chemicals that not only make us feel good, but dial up the learning centers of our brains to higher levels. They help us to organize new information, keep that information in the brain longer, and retrieve it faster later on," end quote. Basically, happiness not only acts like a drug, but it can also improve your intellectual performance. A lot of times you'll hear someone say, "I'll be happy if I can just get here, if I can just get that mark, get into that college, or make that team." Although it is important to set goals for ourselves, Acker says that, quote, "The problem is success is a moving target for the human brain," end quote. If we keep moving our goals, we'll never find a long-term feeling of happiness. I'm not telling you to stop striving to improve. All I'm saying is that your happiness should not rely on it. Based on a wealth of data compiled, researchers have found that happiness causes success and achievement. In one study conducted by Barry M. Stahl, who received a PhD in organizational behavior from Northwestern, the initial level of positive emotions in 272 employees was measured. Over the next 18 months, their job performance was followed, and those who were happier ended up receiving both higher pay and better evaluations. Unlike the world's greatest enigma, whether it was the chicken or the egg that came first, Aker and other leading experts on positive psychology have shown, quote, "Study after study, that happiness precedes important outcomes and indicators of thriving," end quote. I experienced this concept in grade 8 when I believed that dance was causing my happiness. I pursued both my happiness and dreams of becoming a ballerina by attending boarding school for ballet. As the year progressed, I became less and less happy. I realized that although dance made me happy, it was being the very best at dance that made me happiest. And yet, I was at a school with hundreds of little girls who all had the same dream as me. Unfortunately, I came to realize I was not the most talented among them. I began to lose love for a sport that I once thought of as my entire future. My father suggested I try golf after school. although I thought that golf was a slow, boring sport meant for old guys. I figured it would be a nice getaway from the competitive environment I was living in. I began to golf more and more. I found it so exciting to make a tiny little ball fly hundreds of yards away into a hole. That summer, I began dancing less and golfing more. I started competing and setting goals for myself. My first tournament, I shot 123. Not exactly looking like the next female Tiger Woods. I decided to use this opportunity to set a goal for myself. My dad and I made a bet that if I could break 85, I could get a puppy. My mother was less than enthusiastic about the prospect of having to take care of yet another dog. But my father reassured her that he had made a solid bet, or so he thought. That summer, I worked really hard to improve my game, and I was able to shoot 84 and get a dog. Looking back, I realized I wasn't able to reach my goals in ballet because I loved the success in the things I was achieving, not the dance itself. Whereas in golf, I was able to achieve my goals because, as cliche as it sounds, I love the process. Of course, the 84 and the puppy brought me happiness, but I never could have gotten there without finding the happiness in just swinging a club. Originally, this speech was on the general route to happiness, but now more than ever, with the world in an unprecedented state of disarray, we all need a little push to find the good in our lives. To help, I want to share 7 main strategies from the yellow book with a smiley face on it. 1. Many people say that money can't buy happiness, but it can buy experiences. A study of more than 150 people showed that those who spent money on activities like concerts or group dinners were much happier than those who spent it on material goods. I'm not telling you to spend your money, but if you do, instead of spending it on Brandy Melville or yet another pair of white sneakers, maybe get a board game to play with your family or invest in things like Cards Against Humanity to play with friends. 2. Commit conscious acts of kindness, meaning you can't look back on your day and say, oh yeah, I did that nice thing. The gestures don't have to be grand. They can be simple things such as commenting on a friend's Instagram or helping someone with their homework can go a long way. 3. Exercise. As I'm sure you've been told, exercise releases endorphins that chemically make you feel happier. Although organized sports, cycle bar, Orange Theory, and the like are indefinitely on a hiatus, we can all find ways to get up and moving. FaceTime a friend to do a home workout. Find YouTube workouts. Go for a run. Even learning a TikTok dance has some exercise in it. 4. Find something to look forward to, even if it's something small. A study conducted by Lee S. Burke, a medical researcher at Loma Linda University, quote, found that people who just thought about watching their favorite movie actually raised their endorphin levels by 27%, end quote. Especially now that the days begin to blend together, find little things every day to keep your life exciting and that you can look forward to. 5. Create positivity into your surroundings. Try to make your home, and especially your room, somewhere that makes you feel happy. Whether it's putting a new coat of paint, decorating your room with pictures of loved ones, or going full Marie Kondo and finding a way to spark joy in your living space. I know for my mom, it's piddling in the garden, as my dad would call it, that makes her happy. 6. Exercise a signature strength. We all have something we're good at. This doesn't have to be a sport or be a talent. It can even be a hobby like TikToking or character trait like kindness. Whatever it is, we can all find something that we take pride in and try to incorporate it into our everyday lives. 7. Last but not least, even though some of you might think it's weird, meditate. Shauna Shapiro, a PhD from the University of Arizona, found that, quote, regular meditation can permanently rewire the brain to raise levels of happiness, lower stress, and even improve immune function, end quote. A super easy and accessible way to practice is through phone apps. And during COVID-19, a lot of them, like Headspace, have created a free access platform. Finally, I want to share an eighth strategy that I think is especially important during these next few weeks, and that's social connection. It doesn't take a genius to understand that social isolation regulations make it infinitely harder to connect with friends and loved ones. But as a generation that never knew a time before technology, there's no reason why we shouldn't take full advantage of Skype, FaceTime, or fun group apps like House Party. My family has decided to have a family workout Olympics every week through group FaceTime. Although we are isolated, it's important that we all make an effort to stay connected and make sure everyone feels loved and supported. As the school year comes to an end and everyone races to return to school, anticipates summer, or dreads exams, try to stay in the present. For those of us who've been cut off from being able to do what brings us happiness, now more than ever, stay open-minded and try new things. I was never expecting to find happiness in golf, but I did, especially now that we all have a little more free time on our hands. Use this as an opportunity to try new things you've always wanted to do but never had the time for. You can start by trying one of the strategies I mentioned. Write a bucket list, learn a TikTok, start a meme account, or if you're feeling particularly adventurous, read a book. During these times that seem to be getting darker and scarier every day, we can use our mindset and perspective as a powerful tool to help us find light and succeed in our lives. Happiness is not something you can just buy. Like anything, it's something you have to put some time and effort into. I think a common theme throughout a lot of the senior speeches this year was finding that balance, and happiness is the same way. So, in the words of famous Greek philosopher Aristotle, happiness is the meaning and the purpose in life, the whole aim and end of human existence. So, find what makes you happy and success will follow. Thank you.